Hello again everybody, it's Peter Knight here for People in the Environment. It seems like a very long time since I was here with you last time, way back at the beginning of the module, but since then you've worked your way through all the sessions and here we are now right at the end of the module, and this is my conclusion to People in the Environment. I'm not actually going to add a great deal of new material today, and we don't have to talk about an exam because there isn't an exam for this module. But at the end of the module it's really valuable to reflect on what you've done, what you've achieved, and what you can carry forward from this module into the rest of your university work and also forward into future careers and so on. Now, it probably seems a bit weird at this point in the module for me to be saying go away and have a look at the handbook. That was what you expected me to say right at the beginning of the module. It kind of made sense then, I hope. But it also makes sense at the end of the module to go back and look again at the handbook. Because what's really important right now is that you're very clear on what you've achieved, what you've learned, and like I said, what you can take forward from this into the next stage of your degree and into future employment. And the handbook, and looking at your notes as well from all the individual sessions, but particularly the handbook at this stage, is a good place to start just to remind yourself of what this module was all about. Within the handbook was a schedule of the sessions, so you can see exactly what it was that you've done blow by blow, if you like, through the module, topic by topic, everything that you attended and anything that you missed. There's a section in the handbook as well about employability and careers. There's a section in there that will tell you this is how we think this module can help you as you move forward after you've completed it. And also there's a really important set of materials about what the module's for, what the purpose of the module is, what the intended learning outcomes of the module were. And at this stage you should be able to check off what you think you've done in the module and what you think you've learned from the module and what experiences you've had in the module. You should be able to check those off against the list of intended learning outcomes, i.e. the things that we hoped you would get out of the module and the benefits that we thought you would gain from doing the module. So there's a lot to be gained right now by just going back, having another look at the handbook, thinking through the different sections and reflecting upon the extent to which you've achieved everything that we were hoping you would achieve by working your way through the resources, attending the sessions, doing the assessments and so on that were built into the module, and just checking that you've got everything out of the module that you could have done, made the very most out of this module before you finish it. Now, this has been a particular kind of module. Every module has its own particular characteristics. It's serving different functions. Looking at the handbook will remind you of what the function of this module was. But this module was a very wide-ranging module. There are lots of different topics that you've encountered over the last 10 weeks or so. And you might look at them as being a whole set of individual topics or individual case studies. You've had a lecture on that, you've had some online resources about that, you've had Dr. X or Professor Y talking to you about this topic or that problem or this example. Lots of different things. It's really important though that you realise that that isn't what the module was intended to be for you. It isn't just a collection of isolated things. The module is actually a single lesson, but it's a complex multi-part lesson. And one of the things that you should be doing right now is thinking, well, what is the lesson? What is the point? What is the big picture overview? What's the one-line summary of this whole module? Not just the individual topics, not just the individual subjects that you've learned hopefully an awful lot about, but the general idea behind the module. So it isn't just lots of separate things. There's a big idea in here that this module has been focusing on that you can take away with you. And that big idea, that set of knowledge, not the sets of individual bits and pieces of information, but the whole body of knowledge, is something you can take away as a foundation for things that you're going to be doing next. So just reflect at this stage on what the module as a whole was about, not just on what each individual section of the module or what each individual session within the module was about. Think big picture at this stage as you're drawing towards the end of the module. And in doing that, make sure, obviously, that you're seeing the module in context. There's always a risk with a modular degree structure that students think of a module in isolation. They complete that module, they finish it, they do the assignments, they get the mark, they stick it away in their CV. They forget it and they move on to the next module and do that one in isolation. That isn't how a degree program works. Certainly it isn't how our degree programs work. The idea is that as well as doing individual modules, those modules build up into the degree program as a whole and your experience as a whole. So be aware that in the same way that the module wasn't a whole separate set of separate items, it was a combination of items working as a whole. Likewise, your degree isn't just a set of individual modules, it's a combination of modules working as a whole. So think of cross-module learning, not only in terms of learning across topics within a module, but also learning for your whole degree program by combining material from all sorts of different modules in different years of study. As you progress through your degree, there's a continuity between all the different things that you're studying at different stages, and you need to tie those together and to see that continuity emerging as you work your way through the program. Now, there are lots of different ways of doing this, and this what we're doing right now, where we reflect at the end of a module, and we reflect at the end of a semester, and we reflect at the end of a year, we reflect at the end of your degree, and we look back and we try to tie everything together. But also, as we work through, you can, well, for example, at this stage, it would be a really good idea for you to be putting together a portfolio of ideas for your undergraduate dissertation, for example. So all students at Keele will do an independent study project or a dissertation. Some of you might do them in two different subjects. Typically you'll choose one subject if you're doing a combined honours program, and if you're doing a single honours program, then obviously your dissertation will be in that program that you're studying. In most programs at Keele, you get a great deal of choice and flexibility in what you do your dissertation about. So right from year one, right from now, you should be putting together ideas, notching things away in the back of your mind for what you might work on in the future. And hopefully this module has given you lots of ideas of interesting areas for study, problems in our understanding of the natural environment, problems at that interface between human activity and the natural environment. There have been lots of ideas in this module for topics that you could develop and study further as part of a dissertation. Equally, this module might have given you lots of ideas for the kinds of topics that you'll want to be studying when you're making your choices for optional modules in second year, or even looking further ahead to third year. Bear in mind what we've just been doing as you look forward into your program and make choices about what you want to do next. And even thinking further ahead towards careers. Again, there will have been things in this module, I hope, which will inform the decisions that you'll be making about the kind of career path that you may want to follow later on. So there are lots of things at this end of module point for you to be thinking about by looking backwards, but turning that round and looking forwards into the future about what you're going to do with the experiences that you've had and the learning that you've achieved in this module. And that's really where I want to finish this very short concluding session, if you like, by saying don't forget that the whole point of this module was to give you something to carry forward. I know students often think, I'm going to get my mark for this module, and that mark is something I can plug into my CV, and that mark is what I'm carrying forward. Well, yes, the mark is something that you'll carry forward, but mainly, certainly for first year modules, where the marks don't actually go through to your final degree anyway, assuming you're passing your modules in first year, what you're really carrying forward isn't a mark, it's the experience, the knowledge, the understanding, not only the knowledge and understanding of the topics, but the experience of having studied those topics. And at first year, a lot of what you're doing is about learning how to study, learning how to learn, becoming part of this community of learning that you're now part of within your degree program. So it's really important at this stage, my kind of parting words to you, if you like, make sure that you know what you've done in this module. Make sure that you know what you're taking away, and then carry that experience and carry that material forward and adopt what you've learned in first year as you move forward into second year and forward into careers and so on and so forth. And I've just put a little note to myself at the end there just to remind you, I guess most of you by the time you're looking at this will have handed in your coursework essay. If not, then make sure you hit the deadline for that, and also for your end of module assignment as well. Make sure that you do all your assignments and hand them in on time, just to bring this module to, I hope for you, a successful and enjoyable conclusion. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the module. I hope it does you good moving forward into the future. Okay, thanks very much.